It's not possible. I didn't say it would be easy, Neo.
All right, good morning. Committee on Parole is called to order this morning. Today is Monday, April 1st, 2024. The time is 9:05 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatz. I'm serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel with me this morning, seated to my left, Mr. Steve Prater, to my right, Mr. Chucky Tillis. We are at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. I'd like to get the staff here at DOC headquarters to introduce yourself for the record, please. Jason Humphrey. Sure. Carla Williams.
Markel Lewis. Francis Abbott.
Okay, our first remote location this morning is at Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women. Would the staff there at LCIW please introduce yourself for the record?
Kristen Thomas, Warden.
Sarah P., ARDC Manager. Acting Daddy, ARDC Supervisor.
Thank you. And we have our first case is Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please.
My name's Thea Johnson. My DOC number is 436763.
Okay, and you have counsel this morning. Counsel, would you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, Robert Lancaster with LSU Parole and Reentry Clinic here today representing Ms. Johnson. With me is Sydney Curtis. She's a third-year law student in the Parole and Reentry Clinic. She's certified under Rule 20. So she will be representing Ms. Johnson today as a certified legal intern.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Lancaster, will you also be participating in the presentation? I have that you'll be speaking. Will you be speaking at the end?
If the committee deems it appropriate, Ms. Curtis would make the final statement at the end of the hearing.
Okay, thank you. And let me recognize the folks who are here today in support. We have the Parole Project, Carrie Myers, who'll be speaking at the appropriate time. We have there at LCIW, your aunt, Ms. Linda. Let's see, cousin, Charlene, your dad, Mr. Joey, stepmother, Francine. Let's see. And here at headquarters, we have Kathleen Jennings, Carolyn Adams, let's see, Christy Sheramy, Michelle Rhodes, and also on Zoom, we have Cynthia DeQueer, who is observing. Here in opposition, we have Scotty Johnson, Larry Walker, Johnny Johnson, Dwayne Walters, Libby Johnson, and the DA's office with Mr. Philip Terrell and Derek Johnson. And for those who've indicated they'd like to speak at the appropriate time, we'll allow them to do so. First, Thea, I'm going to read some information into the record. I'm going to ask you to verify that information. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Prater. Your case has been assigned to him this morning. He'll take the lead on the interview. Once we're done with our questions, we'll hear from the folks who want to speak on your behalf and support. We'll call on them. Then we'll hear from the opposition. And at the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement before your attorney makes their presentation and closes it out for us, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So you are Thea Johnson. Your DOC number is 436763. You're currently serving a life sentence. You were sentenced in Rapides Parish, most recently, July 27th, 2018, for a first-degree murder. That was resentencing where the parole restriction was removed from your sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So your parole eligibility date is determined to be July 22nd, 2024. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you answer Mr. Prater's questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. You
Good
doing
morning.
okay today?
Yes,
All right.
sir.
First thing I'd like to know is how old were you exactly when this offense occurred?
I was 17 years old.
Okay, and how close to your 18th birthday?
Approximately a month.
Okay. All right, that's one thing that when I made some notes here, I was kind of curious about, because I know that you were resentenced to where you're eligible for parole. But had this occurred 3 weeks later, you wouldn't have had that opportunity. So because of that Supreme Court ruling, you did get lucky by 3 weeks. And so that was a good thing. I read the file and there was a lot of things in there as you would know, and as I'm sure you're very familiar with. Some things that bothered me was the fact that I know the contention is that the boyfriend killed your mom and not you. You were just there, but there was some money and VCRs and things like that stolen. Whose idea was that?
That was his idea. It was done after the fact, and he decided that he needed to take those things so he could sell them for money.
Okay. And then I know these are difficult things to talk about because I'm sure you want to put this out of your mind and don't want to go back over it, but it's the things I need to clear up maybe in my mind is once your mom was deceased, then you disposed of the body. Who was leading the charge on this? Who was like, go get a trash bag, help me get her in a trash bag, that sort of thing?
That was what he told me what to do and what to get, and I did comply with what he asked me to do.
Okay. And I assume the cleaning up the crime scene also. Did you go and get the bleach, or did he go and get it, or what happened with that?
He did go and get it. And basically I remember him he poured the bleach in everywhere, and he made the comment that if he could put the bleach on the blood, that it would destroy the DNA and they wouldn't know if it was just one person's blood or more than one person.
Okay. All right. And then of course you disposed of the body and all that, and we know that. And then y'all went on the run. And while you were actually on the run is when you turned 18, correct? In the 3 weeks or so that you were on the lam and headed to Mexico, you turned 18.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you were caught, and the rest of it is history. Once you've been incarcerated, I noticed that you've done some really great things as far as your certificates and all of that. How many certificates do you think you have? I didn't count them all, but I know there were a lot, and I read each one of them.
Somewhere around maybe 45.
Okay. So you've taken good use of your time while you've been incarcerated.
I have
So
tried, sir.
I commend you for that. I really do. One thing I was troubled with was an incident in 2022 where you got into some kind of altercation. I see you kind of shaking your head. You know where I'm going with this. Could you tell me about that? I know that you were disciplined for aggravated fighting, I believe is what it was.
Yes, sir. It was a situation that happened at the spur of the moment. I did not think before I acted, and it was a very unfortunate, and it's something I really, really regret. Since then, I've actually taken a couple of classes that dealt with the fact that I should have asked for help instead of reacting so quickly. I did not at that point I did not think before I acted, but now I know that it doesn't cost anything just to stop for a minute before you do something, and that can completely prevent an unfortunate incident like this from happening.
Okay, that's good words. But what actually happened? What made it aggravating?
I really don't know why they said it was aggravated fighting. I think because there was more than two people involved. I think if it was more than two people involved, they consider it aggravated, or you have to have some kind of weapon or something. But I didn't have anything like that. There were 3 people involved in this fight, so that's why they considered it aggravated.
Because I'm normally in crime business, you think of aggravated as with a weapon or whether serious injury or something like that. But in this case, was there a weapon involved or serious injury?
No, sir. There was no weapon. It was just what they would call a typical fight, but because it was involving 3 people instead of 2, they labeled it as an aggravated.
All right. I think that's about all the questions that I have. And you've been in jail for how long?
Almost 25. It'll be 4 months short of 25 years.
Okay. All right. And that's all the questions that I have there, Chairman.
Thank you. And so today, how old are you?
I am 42 years old.
And we refer to your co-defendant as your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am. He was at the time. Yes, ma'am.
How long had you and he been in a relationship?
About approximately like 6 to 8 months.
Warden Thomas, is there anything you can tell us about Ms. Johnson?
Yeah, she is medium custody offender. She has, kind of like Mr. Prater had mentioned, just participated in quite a lot of different programs here, whether they were awarded CTRP credits or not. So I think that's something good to note that, she was willing to participate in the class, whether there was some good time credits awarded. She has completed MRT and Thinking for a Change. She has a low risk score. She also participates in Lifers and Toastmasters. So no real issues other than, we had that hiccup that we kind of talked about with 2022 fight. Really since 2017, have not really had any issues or anything. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it. At this time, we'll hear from the folks who want to speak in support. First, we'll hear from the Parole Project.
Yes, good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. Parole Project is prepared to offer Ms. Johnson long-term support. We understand that, as a juvenile, when she was arrested at age 17, and the length of time that she spent, that she's going to need some transition services. Obviously, the world has changed, and Parole Project will provide those things. We'll provide peer mentorship, which essentially is a coach to help her through the transition process. We'll make sure she has all her documentation, that she's connected to healthcare services. We'll make sure that she receives full programming. That will include financial literacy, technology. Obviously, the technology gap is going to be significant. But not only that, goal setting, practical applications, consumer skills, simple things, just how to live in today's world, including we'll be providing her transitional housing for as long as needed. So we want this board to know the Parole Project is prepared to give her full support.
Thank you. I don't see where there are any other speakers here in support, so we'll hear next from the opposition. First,
Ms. Renata, we have 2 that are here.
okay. Who are they, please?
Linda Butts,
Okay. And who's the other second speaker?
Rose, cousin.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Ms. Linda, go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to hear. I'm sorry, it wasn't marked on my sheet. I didn't realize you wanted to speak.
Okay, well, good morning. My name is Linda Freddy Butts. I am Thea's aunt on her daddy's side. I am here today to support Thea. I would like to thank the parole board for giving her this chance. Over the years, I have gotten to know Thea very well. I know that I need to stand up. Can you see me? I've gotten to know Thea very well. I know that she is bright, intelligent, friendly, and outgoing person. She tries to maintain a positive mental attitude. She is a well-adjusted, mature person. Her seminary training has given her a strong foundation in what a Christian is. She is a true believer and lives it in her daily life. I am so proud of Thea's faith, strength, and determination to make the most of her situation. She has proved that she has a genuine desire to be helpful to her fellow inmates and want to continue helping them when she gets out. She was chosen to teach a seminary class, a SACER class, and has been very helpful in teaching and encouraging and having, to her students. She really, cares about her students. She wants to do everything that she can to help them. If they're having trouble, she really jumps in and helps them. She tells me because we speak almost daily. And she wants to help others. And when she gets out, she's taken courses for teaching, encouraging, and classes for self-improvement and to help others. I have been standing by Thea for 24 years, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially. I will be here for her in every way I can. All of our family will stand with her. I developed a relationship with Christine Johnson. That's Thea's grandmother. Thea's grandmother before she got sick. I know that she would be here to support Thea if she was able to. She is in a nursing home. She has dementia. She doesn't know Thea anymore. I'm asking that you show fairness and mercy to her request for parole. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. All right, next.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Charlene Rhodes. I'm Thea's cousin. In the time I've known Thea, I mean, I've been in her life as long as I've been alive. But as I've gotten older, we've spoken pretty much on the weekly. We've connected, we bonded. She's one of the softest, sweetest people I've ever met. Her soul is genuine and kind through and through. Me and my husband own a couple of local businesses where we live, and in the future, after her parole project would end, we are prepared to be able to help her get a job, have a place to live. We're always going to be there to help support her, emotionally, financially, spiritually, in whatever way we can. My business partner owns apartments. We already have her on a list for that. I own a cafe tea store that we need people who are really good and serve safe and are really good with public health. So, we're prepared to do whatever we have to do. We're a family and we stand together and we're strong. And we love her very, very much. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate that. Now, we do have in the record for your information, Thea, some other family members have expressed opposition to favorable consideration, and that's in the record. We'll hear from the opposition. Could we first hear from Larry Walker, please?
My name is Larry Walters. I am the brother-in-law to Linda Kyle, who was viciously murdered. And by the guilty, they confessed. And here today, we hear that she has blame for others, but yet she did confess. She pleaded for life without parole in lieu of the death sentence. She is very manipulative. She has been able to con as many people as I know go her way in various things when I knew her before all this happened. And as the verdict, the penalty was given, was justice being served. Today, I ask the board to consider holding fast that original verdict.
Mr. Walker. Dwayne Walters. Excuse me, that's great. I just want to thank you for the opportunity. None of us are women on the sister, who on this here. And when all this is coming out, it's just totally impacted my life. I even had to take off work Tuesday from my job because all those images that I saw, it's just, it floods. I see the coagulated blood. I see the drag marks. Me and my nephew found a piece of her brain that they put in a garbage bag. And she, always blames others. And I know she was in on it. She is a new person. And I beg the board this morning, please listen to the plea of the family that had to deal with this and still has to deal with it today. To please not release. Thank you, ma'am. And Libby. Libby Johnson.
Good morning. My name is Ruby Johnson, and Linda Kyle was my sister-in-law, my best friend. I was married to her brother Wayne, and she passed away on January 1st, or he would be with us today. But in 1999, our lives changed. My life changed. It was a horrible situation, and I knew with the results of what we were told that Linda suffered, she suffered dearly. And I just don't think her sentence should be changed. She should stay where she's at. She's never showed remorse, and she just needs to be where she's at. She destroyed our whole family, and we've never been the same since then.
Thank you. Right. Ms. Thea, is there anything you'd like to say before we're gonna hear from you, and then we'll hear from your attorney, and then the DA's office will close it out for us.
Yes, ma'am. There's not a day that has gone by that I don't carry this. And I don't deny the fact. And I take responsibility because it was my actions and my choices that caused it. I don't deny that. And I know I've hurt so many people. And I can't take that back, and I wish I could. But I've done everything every day to try to walk and never be that person again. I was young and I was stupid and I've walked every day since then to let my mama's life that she lost be a banner for me to be the best person I can be, no matter where I'm at, no matter who needs my help, no matter what I do. And I'm sorry it's not good enough. And I wish it was, but it's not, and it'll never be. But as Mr. Prater said, these seasons I've tried to take every class that was available. I've learned so much, and I learned the pain that I've caused is so large. And I've taken every explanation in every class that has explained how much pain I have caused and how hurt and the different, not only physical, emotional, if I'm given the chance, I'm going to take every opportunity available to me to continuously move forward, listen to my mentors, ask for help, no matter what situation I get myself in, that I know that there are people that'll help me now where I didn't before. And I just thank the board for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I thank everybody that's here, everyone that's here.
Thank you. Ms. Curtis?
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Cindy Curtis, and I'm a third-year law student at LSU. I'm certified under Louisiana Supreme Court Rule 20, representing Ms. Thea Johnson for her parole application. Thank you for this opportunity. The United States Supreme Court in Miller v. Alabama held that juvenile offenders are fundamentally different from adult offenders. Specifically, the court found that juveniles have the biggest capacity to grow, to mature, to change, and to one day re-enter society. Ms. Johnson is unrecognizable from who she was, a teenage girl almost 25 years ago. At the age of 17, while still in high school, a 31-year-old man found a vulnerable high schooler to latch on to. Ms. Johnson was in a position where she was consumed by that man. He used tactics like over flattery to win over her trust. And then as soon as he built her trust, he used that trust to manipulate her by moving into her room, being with her in the car at all times. Ms. Johnson was consistently tired and exhausted, and he was constantly calling the shots, and she felt that she was in a position that she could not say no, and she felt vulnerable. But Ms. Johnson is not that teenage girl anymore. Now at 42, she has committed herself to self-growth by taking as many classes as possible. She has close to 50 certificates through all the different programs that she has participated in. And she has found faith in God through different programs like Kairos and the Exodus Training Center, which she has found through her daily life gives her hope and gives her courage that she can change, that she can become stronger from who she was at the age of 17. And through classes like moral recognition therapy and thinking for a change, Ms. Johnson has grown into a woman that is independent. She's no longer codependent like she was at 17. She knows how to set healthy boundaries, which she was unable to do when she was still a high schooler. And she has learned to acknowledge her emotions and process them and to react properly. And I know the committee today has raised concerns about Ms. Johnson's most recent write-up. However, Ms. Johnson recognizes that she made a mistake that day and she deeply regrets it. And she has taken courses to work on what led to that altercation by taking Living in Balance, Sister's Keeper, and Life's Healing Choices. And she has learned now from that mistake. And further, 75% of her write-ups were in the first decade, and 96% of her write-ups were in the first 15 years of her incarceration. So only 4%, two of her write-ups have occurred in the last decade, which has shown how much Ms. Johnson has grown through her time in incarceration, how much effort she's put into herself to grow and become a better person. And Ms. Johnson was given a low Tiger score in December of 2023, which occurred after the write-up in 2022. And it's stated that she has a low risk for recidivism. And so that write-up specifically does not define who Ms. Johnson is and that she is not a risk to society, and she has grown. And beyond just focusing on herself while incarcerated, Ms. Johnson has found a passion for serving others by participating in community service events like Serenity Gardens, Autism Walk, Children's Extravaganza. But her favorite way of serving others is by teaching. And she's found that through being a ServSafe instructor and a CTE tutor. And many of her peers look up to her and find her to be the shoulder that they lean on. And finally, Honorable Committee, Ms. Johnson has a strong reentry plan. she is going to be a long-term resident at the Parole Project, where they will provide her a case manager, where she will have mentors that can guide her through that process, where she will have housing. They will help her with employment. And she also plans to complete her associate's degree, because through Ashland University, she has 2 years, if granted parole, to finish her degree, because education's always been one of her top priorities. And for all these reasons and reasons articulated at this hearing and in the brief submitted on Ms. Johnson's behalf, Ms. Johnson respectfully requests that this honorable committee grant her parole with any conditions the committee deems appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you for your brief. It was very thorough. It was very helpful. We'll go call Mr. Terrell, the DA's office, to close it out for us, please.
Did you want me to speak first before Mr. Terrell? I can't hear anybody.
Mr. Terrell, you're on mute still.
Can y'all hear me?
We can't hear Mr. Terrell.
Okay, can I go before him?
We're gonna let him close it out for us.
Okay.
Are you Mr. Derek Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. I work for Mr. Terrell.
Let's just let the ADA close it. I mean,
Let's see.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen in the audience. Philip Terrell on behalf of the state of Louisiana and the victims in this matter. I'm really glad that Thea has taken advantage of all the opportunities to better herself provided by the prison system. I'm glad that she's had some benefit, but let's not forget why Thea's in prison. The soft, sweet person described by her cousin pled guilty to the worst crime under Louisiana law. She pled guilty to first-degree murder. The family support described by the two ladies who spoke on her behalf, one of them her cousin, who said she's known her entire life. Let's think about that a minute. She's got family support. Well, the person she murdered, the person she took part in taking life, was the very person who gave her life. The very person who gave her life, her mother. Life's not a movie. Kind of reminds me of Natural Born Killers. Life's not a movie. Our actions have consequences. The consequence of Thea's action had devastating consequences to all the victims who came before y'all and spoke. Devastating consequences that can't be erased, that they have to live with every day. They have to live with those things for the rest of their lives, day in and day out. Part of criminal sentences, part of life sentences, have to do with retribution. Part of those have to do with paying our bills. That's what Thea's doing now. I'm glad that she's able to help some people in the prison system. I'm glad she's growing and learning. Have to point out, as the sheriff pointed out earlier, she had a hiccup. She got in a fight. She's not ready to get out. She's not ready for parole. The victims who spoke to y'all have an interest. They have an interest in Thea staying in prison for the crime she committed. She killed her mother. She murdered her mother. The state of Louisiana and the victims stand before this board today and ask you not to grant her parole because it's the right thing to do. She pled guilty to first-degree murder, the crime of murdering her mother. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Terrell. All right, is the panel prepared to vote? Mr. Prater?
Okay, my vote, is to deny this parole. I don't want you to give up hope. There'll be a chance that you'll come back to us. I want there to be longer time between your latest discipline that you made a bad decision. I mean, that's what started this whole thing, with a bad decision. So I'd like to see some more time. And I also took into consideration, besides that, the age. You missed it by 3 weeks or we wouldn't even be here. And so that was pretty close to what I'd call maybe the not legal definition of age of accountability, but by law it was. So your age when it occurred, you were almost 18, the recent fight, and of course the victim impact. So my vote would be to, at this particular time, deny your request.
Mr. Taylor?
I commend you for all the services and classes you've taken. The choices we choose are the choices we have to live with. I agree with my colleague at this time to deny.
All right, Ms. Johnson, my vote is the same. You know, I appreciate the hard work that you put in. You know, the hiccup that we're calling a hiccup, the fight in 2022 is concerning to me about your capacity for decision making. That was after you took the Thinking for Change, which was supposed to help you learn to make better decisions. So you still have some more work to do. I don't think you're quite ready. Today, your parole application has been denied. Good luck to you. Thank you, Mr. Lancaster. Thank you, Ms. Curtis. Thanks to everybody participating.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that concludes our business in LCIW. We're going to sign off at 9:42.